Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make the small Trinity mandala. This is my own design and you can find the written pattern on my blog. There's a link in the video description. So I'll show you how to make the small mandala. What you need to make this mandala is scheepjes katona yarn. I've got several colors that you'll need to make the mandala. I've got a list of all my colors on my blog as well. Again, a link in the video description. So you'll need scheepjes katona yarn in combination with a 3mm hook. I'll take you through all the rounds that make up part 1. I want to thank you for watching. I hope it's a useful video for you. Round 1, I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook and then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, and then close on that first chain with the slip stitch to form a little ring. And in that ring we're going to start with our stitches. You can also make a magic loop if that's easier for you. Chain 2, that's the first double crochet. We're going to make an invisible join at the end and then we're going to be completing that stitch. And now 11 more doubles in the ring. So just open up the ring properly. If you see it there, that's the little hole we're aiming for. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit further that you can just see it a little bit better. If you see there, that's the ring. This here, because that is the first chain loop, so that always opens up, but don't work in there. Here, that's the little hole you're going for, and you're going to do 11 more doubles in that space, and that'll be 12 in total then. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 1 more. This is double crochet number 11. There we go. And with that chain 2 at the beginning you now have 12 doubles. I'm going to close with an invisible join. Usually it doesn't matter, but in this case I'm really going to do that because the next round is going to be back post stitches and that'll just give a nice edge if you do an invisible join now. I'm cutting my yarn and open up this stitch. And I'm just going to hook up a needle, this thread on my needle. I know some people do an invisible join with a hook, but I've never been really good at that, so I always do it with a needle. So thread that yarn tail, that end yarn tail on a needle. Here's the chain 2. Go to through the next stitch and pull through. And now you're going to have to help this so it closes nicely, and then come back through the last stitch work, through the top of the last stitch, and then go down, if you see here, to the back. And then what you're going to see what happens now is that you form a little stitch here. See there? That is your invisible join, and you've made that on top of the chain 2 there, so it's like you're making a hat for that chain 2. And that's it. That's round 1 completed. Now you can see you've got 12 perfect stitches all the way around. I'm just going to work away this yarn tail and then we're ready for round 2. Round 2, I have a slip knot on my hook with a new color. And we're going to start with a back post double crochet in any stitch. Doesn't matter which stitch. And I'm just going to yarn over here and just hold on to that yarn. And then just pick a stitch. And then from the back to the front, pick up the loop. And still holding on to those loops, complete the double crochet. So that's a back post double. This was a standing back post double actually. Around the same stitch work another back post double. So yarn over. So, and now you're just going to have to slightly come back and kind of just stack those two on top of each other. So around the same stitch work another back post double. And that you're going to do all the way around. On every stitch you're going to work 2 back post stitches. And you now see why we did that invisible join, because you're really going to push those stitches to curl up and then you get a nice edge. So on the next stitch, yeah, that's this, and this is all still small and a bit fiddly. As your work gets bigger it gets easier. It's 1 back post double, then come to the next one, and again another back post double. So you've got 2 on that stitch. Then come to the next, and again another back post double. So 1, and also work 2 on this stitch, and you just stack the one in front of the other. So number 2 in front of number 1. You can see you get also a little bit of a 3D effect because you've got those 2 stacked on top of one another, and now you can see this edge curling forward. Go all the way around, work 2 on every stitch, and then I'll just show you how to close on that standing double. When you've got all the way around, you've got 24 back post doubles, and we're just going to close on that first stitch. You see here's the first stitch. If you just look at that, you'll see just behind that knot there's the actual top of the stitch, so just in there. And it often helps to just pull the starting yarn tail tight, and then you can really get that slip stitch in here. And that's it. That's round 2. I'm going to cut my yarn, open up this loop, and now we're ready for round 3. For round 3 I have a new color on my hook with the slip knot, and in round 3 we're going to work treble 3 togethers over 3 stitches with chain 6s in between. Now the first one is going to be a standing treble 3 together, so I'm just going to yarn over twice, then hold on to those loops, and then come to any stitch, doesn't matter where you start. I'm just going to start there, and then take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops. You've got 2 loops on your hook. Then again yarn over twice. In the next stitch, pick up a loop, take off 2, take off 2, 3 loops on your hook, again yarn over twice, through the next stitch, pick up a loop, 2 times off, 2 times off. You've got 4 loops on your hook, take them all off in one go. That's a treble 3 together, and because we started from a standing stitch, it's a standing treble 3 together. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this we're going to repeat all the way around. So I'll show you the repeat one more time. A treble 3 together over the next 3 stitches. So let's yarn over twice, then come to the next stitch, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops, yarn over twice, come to the next stitch, take off 2, take off 2, and again yarn over twice, come to the next stitch, take off 2, take off 2, 4 loops on your hook, take them all off. and again chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again repeat. So now I'm going to work a treble 3 together over the next 3 stitches, then a chain 6 again. You're going to go all the way around, and after you've done your last treble 3 together, you're going to finish exactly in that last stitch there. I'll just open this up. Your last treble 3 together will finish in that stitch there, the stitch before the one that you started in. Then you do a chain 6 and close here on this first standing treble 3 together. Round 4, this is what you have from round 3. What we're going to do is we're going to work in every chain 6 space, you're going to work 7 single crochets. I have a new color yarn on my hook. I can start in any chain 6 space. Start in this one, and my first single is a standing single crochet. I'm just going to move that a bit to the side. There we go. So that's the first one, and now I need 6 more. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last one in this space is 6. And there we go. I'm just going to distribute them a little bit evenly. There we go. And with that standing one is 7 singles. I'm going to skip the flower petal here and go to the next chain space and work 7 singles in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 singles. Again, just move them up a bit, let them nicely evenly distribute it. Go all the way around, so work 7 singles in every chain space, and when you get here to the first stitch, close with a slip stitch. Leave your yarn attached because the next round is the same color. You're going to have 56 single crochets at the end of round 4. Round 5, I'm going to continue with the same color yarn. Chain 2. This is again your first double crochet. We're going to finish that with an invisible join. Again, this round close with an invisible join because of the back post stitches from the next round. So that's your first double, then a double in the next 2 stitches. So here is the first one. I'm just going to take that beginning yarn tail with me. So 1, and then in the next one also a double. In the following stitch, that's actually going to be the center stitch here. You've got here these 7 doubles. So you have 3 stitches on this side. Then in stitch number 4, you're going to work 2 double crochets. So in the next stitch, you work an increase by working 2 doubles. That's 1 and 2, and then in the next 3 stitches work a double, so 1 on each. One, 2, and 3. This is the way they are on each of these 7 stitches. Now, those were 3. I'm just going to continue. I'm going to show you the full repeat. So that's 3. I'm going to work 3 more. So, and these next 3 are on the 7 stitches that fall in the next chain space. Wait, there my camera just goes. There we go. So that's 1. And this here is 2 and 3. So now you've worked 6 doubles since that increase. The next stitch we're going to work 2 double crochets again. So that's 1 and 2. So that's again an increase. This you're going to work all the way around. So now again 6 doubles and then an increase. And again 6 doubles and an increase. I'm going to show you the repeat one more time. So 6 doubles and then an increase. And then when you get right here at the beginning, you're going to close with an invisible join. This round, important that you do close with that invisible join because of the back post stitches that we have in the next round, because that'll give you a nice edge again. Also, one thing you'll notice after this round is that your mandala really cups. So you might think you don't have enough stitches. No, it does cup here, so don't worry about that. As it grows, it will flatten out. So that's just a temporary thing. I believe I now have 6 doubles. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And then in the next stitch, there's an increase again. So 2 doubles in this stitch. 1 and 2. Repeat this all the way around. You can already see the cupping for me is already starting a bit. So go all the way around, 6 doubles, and then work an increase. There's 2 doubles all the way around. And you get to the first stitch, close with an invisible join. Round 6, new color yarn on my hook. And we're going to start in any of the increase stitches. You see here, they're right in the middle of this space. You see those 2 doubles that you worked in one stitch. You're going to start on the first of those 2. You can also choose. This one, doesn't matter which one you take. So I have those first 2. That's first of the increase. So here you see there's 2 worked in one stitch. Take that first one and start with a single crochet. And this first stitch is of course a standing single crochet. And in the next stitch also work a single. So you see these 2 single crochets, they fall in those 2 stitches that you worked in one. Now I'm going to start the repeat unit. We're going to work a front post double treble, that's quite a long stitch, around the next flower petal. This is the treble 3 together. So once over is a double crochet, twice over is a treble crochet, and 3 times over is a double treble. So this is a reasonably long stitch that we're going to make. Then around the next flower petal, grab the yarn and complete that stitch. 2, 3 and 4. If you fold your work, you can see how that stitch falls there over your work. On the next 6 stitches, we're going to work a back post single. And this first one is a bit tricky because it's actually, if you look here, it's this stitch here. This is the one you're going to work the back post around, but you can see your stitch falls on top of that. So you're going to have to just push your work to the side to really get behind that stitch, because you want to back post immediately on the next stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This here is 5, and this is the last one. Is 6. 6 back post singles around those stitches. You can see you're getting a nice little edge there. We're now again going to work a front post double treble, but we're going to come back and work it around this flower petal where we already have a back post treble around, sorry, a front post treble around, double treble. Front post double treble. So that's 1, 2, 3 times yarn over. Now you're going to have to just fold your work back. You can really get around that stitch and then complete the double treble. 1, 2, and 4. There we go. On the next 2 stitches, going to work a single crochet, and your next 2 stitches should be again those 2 that you worked in 1 stitch. That stitch, 1, and the next stitch, 2. And that's your full repeat unit. I'm going to repeat this all the way around. Then after your last front post double treble, which you're going to work over here on this flower petal, you're going to close on this standing single crochet here. I'll show you the repeat one more time. I'm going to start with a front post double treble, so it's 3 times over, on the next flower petal. And to keep your top loop small, I'm just keeping my fingers on that first loop, because you don't want that first loop to open up, because then your flower, or then that stitch also opens up. I just split my yarn there, 2, 3, and 4. So if you keep your finger on your loop, you see that first loop still remains a bit small. Now again, those 6 back post stitches. There's my first stitch. That's the one I'm going for, on that one, but of course from the other side. So push your hook to the side and really get around that first stitch from the back. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, this here is 5, and the last one is 6. There you go, 6 back post stitches. Again, a front post double treble around this petal that already has one. So coming back, so 3 times over. Really just fold your work back, just stack them on top of one another, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you can come back, and then on the next 2 stitches, which should be your 2 increase stitches, work a single crochet. That's 1 and 2. Continue. So that was again a repeat unit. Continue all the way around, and here after that last front post double treble, you're going to close on your standing stitch. You can do that with a slip stitch. Round 7, a new color yarn on my hook. In round 7 we're going to work a double crochet on every stitch and then close with an invisible join. The first one is going to be a standing stitch. You can start in any stitch you want. So I'm going to start in this stitch here with a standing double crochet. And one in the next stitch, and continue with double crochet on every stitch. And when you're at the beginning, I'm going to close with an invisible join, again because we're working back post stitches in the next round. But I'll just show you how to do an invisible join on a standing stitch, because it's slightly different than doing it on a chain 2 or a chain 3. But first go all the way around and work a double on every stitch. All the way around, work the double crochet on every stitch. Here's that first standing stitch. That's that blue yarn tail there. Pink one I still need to work away. And this is the yarn tail from my last double crochet. I'm going to cut my yarn, and then you can open up this last stitch. Thread yarn on a needle to make the invisible join. Now this is a standing stitch, so that means this stitch already has a top, has a head. That's the purpose of doing a standing stitch, that one there. So we're not going to make this invisible join immediately here, because then you're going to create an extra stitch. We're going to go to the second stitch there. If you look from the top, to do the invisible join. And that means this one stitch is going to have like a double hat. So I'm just going to fold that to the back. And then come back to the first stitch, push through to the bottom. You see here's the start of the standing stitch there. You see there's that standing stitch. I've just pulled that a bit to the back. And push the needle through. And then to just get it a bit into shape, just bring these two a bit closer to each other. Pull on your thread. And there we go. And that's it. That's an invisible join on a standing stitch. What you could do now is unpick this little knot. So that's the knot from this slip knot that you're going to unpick. If you look at it there, see there's the knot. So I'm just going to unpick that, and I'm having a bit of trouble doing so because my yarn is splitting, doesn't want to be picked. This is easier to do if it's not in front of the camera. There you go. So I'm just going to unpick that loop and that loop, and I'm just going to pull this a little tighter. Now you've taken that knot away, but you've left the post here of the stitch. So now you have a very neat invisible join, and if you look at it like this, you really cannot tell that this and that were not made in the same motion. So work away these two yarn tails, and then you're ready for round 8. Round 8, I have a new color yarn. On my hook it's the same color as you have these front post stitches in from 2 rows down. So we're going to be extending these front post stitches. We're going to start in the stitch, in the double crochet stitch that's worked in a front post double treble after these 2 single crochet. See, there are the 2 singles, they're in between these 2 front post stitches. Then you come to the front post stitch, then the double crochet which we've worked in there. That's the stitch you're going to start. And we're going to start with a standing back post single crochet. And then pick up the yarn, bring it back up, and complete the single. On the next 8 stitches, work a back post single crochet also. So you're going to have 9 back post singles in total, including that first standing one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, continue till you have 8 of them, and then this is the last one. There you go. Now you have 9 in total, so it's a standing one and then 8 more back post single crochets. You see that number, that last one there falls in the first of those 2 doubles that have been worked here in the single crochets. We're now going to work a front post double, a front post treble 2 together, so around these 2 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over twice, then come to the first front post treble, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops, then again yarn over twice, come to the next front post stitch, pick up the loop, then again take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops. You have 3 loops on your hook, take them all off in one go. You can see by doing so you've now connected, you've extended that line of these front post stitches. We're going to skip 1 stitch to the back. That's that double crochet there to the back. Going to skip that stitch, the next stitch there, and then come to the stitch after, and that's you're going to work a front post single again. A back post single, around that stitch. And this stitch is the same stitch as the one you started with, so that's the one that's worked in the treble here. So you're going to work 1, and then 2. Again, you're going to work 9 back post singles. And this here is number 9. Okay, 9 back post single crochets. Okay, your number 9 falls here in the first of those 2 doubles that's in those 2 single crochets there. The next one you're going to skip after we work the front post double, the front post treble 2 together. I'm going to show you the front post treble 2 together again. So that's twice over. Oh, there goes my camera. There we go. Around the first leg, take off 2 loops, take off 2 loops. Again, yarn over twice, come to the next stitch, pick up, take off 2, take off 2, 3 loops on your hook, take them off. Again, skipping the next stitch, which is going to be that stitch there, work in the stitch after with a back post single crochet. So that's there. And that's again the first of 9. Now showing you the repeat twice, you need to do a few more. And you get here to your first stitch, you can close on that stitch with a slip stitch. Round 9, new color yarn on my hook, and we're going to start in the first stitch after a treble 2 together. You see here's a treble 2 together, so there the stitch immediately after. That's the stitch we're going to start in with a double crochet, because the first one is going to be a standing double in there. Followed by 3 more doubles on the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, and this is 2, and 3. Okay. So you now have 4 double crochets. In your next stitch, you're going to work 2 doubles. So you're going to make an increase here. 2 doubles in the next stitch. 1 and 2. over the next 4 stitches, work a double crochet in each. That's 1, 2, 3, and this here is 4. So you can now see that over those stitches that are between the front post trebles, you've worked 4, then you've worked an increase, so that's 2 in one stitch, and then 4 again. That's the rhythm over those stitches. Chain 2, 1, 2, and then skipping the next stitch, which is here the 2 together stitch. You're going to skip that and then come to the stitch after and work a double in there. So skipping this one here and work a double. And then this double is the same as the one we started with, that standing stitch. So we're now going to work 4 doubles, so that was 1, and then this is 2, 3, 4 doubles, and then next you work an increase again. 1, 2, then over the next 4 stitches work a double in each. You can see this is the same as what we've already done. 2, 3, almost, there we go, and this is 4, doesn't want to cooperate, yeah, this is 4, and now again at chain 2 and then skipping the treble. So chain 2 and skipping here the treble 2 together, and the next stitch work a double. And again this stitch is the same as that stitch is the same as that stitch. You're going to go all the way around, and here after you've worked your last double, chain 2 and then kick and close on that first stitch with a slip stitch. Round 10, a new color yarn on my hook with a slip stitch, or a slip knot I should say. What I'm going to do is going to start in the first double crochet after any chain 2 space, and then we're going to work a single crochet on each of those stitches. That's going to be 10 singles in total. So in that first stitch there, it's going to start there with a standing single because it's the first stitch, and then work a single on the next 9 stitches also, so that's going to give you 10 in total, and that will bring you up to the next chain 2 space, and 10 or 9, depends how you look at it, 10 single crochets in total. We're now at the chain space. In the chain 2 space, work a single crochet. And now we're going to work a treble popcorn in this skipped stitch here from round, I believe round 9 that is. So yarn over twice, then in that skipped stitch work a treble, and be sure to miss your stitches to the back. So I'm just going to fold them to the back that you don't accidentally work over them. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So that's the first treble. You're going to work 4 more because you need to work 5 trebles in that skipped stitch there. That's 2, 3, 4, and then this is treble number 5. There you go. So now you have 5 trebles worked in that front post treble 2 together in that stitch there. Then open up this loop, so open up that loop, come to the first stitch. If you just pull it apart there, that's your first stitch. So insert your hook there, pick up your loop and pull through and chain 1. That's a treble popcorn. That's the same as a normal popcorn, which is usually done with double crochets, but now you do it with trebles. On the other side, so of the popcorn here, in the chain 2 space, work a single crochet. So that means you're going to have a single on either side of these of the popcorn in the chain 2 space. So you see one on that side and one on this side. And this entire unit is the repeat unit. So we're now going to work 10 more single crochets and then a single, the popcorn, a single. I'll show you the entire repeat once more. So in the next 10 stitches, work a single. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 10. So again, 10 single crochets. In the chain 2 space, work a single. And then come down, and here in the treble 2 together stitch, work a treble popcorn. So that means yarn over twice for a treble. Then insert into that stitch, and be sure to miss your work to the white stitches here, the doubles. So I'm just going to fold that to the back and then work the trebles. So that's 1 and 2, just 3, 4, and the last one here is, there we go, 5. Open up a loop, hold on to it. So I always hook this over my finger, that way nothing accidentally happens to it. Come to the first treble, which is that stitch, pick up the loop again and pull tight, and then pull the loop through the first stitch. And I'm going to close this all off with a chain 1. Then on the other side of the popcorn, in the chain 2 space, work a single. And that's the repeat once more. You're going to do this all the way around, and here after you've done your last treble popcorn, work a single crochet in the chain 2 space still, and then close on the first stitch with an invisible join. That will, because this pink edge here is going to be very visible on the first mandala. So close your this round with an invisible join. When you've finished round 10, this is what your mandala looks like. Now this is the small mandala that I just did with you. You need to make 2 more of these of the same pattern in different colorways. And those are these 2 I have here. And they are they will grow and become the medium and the large mandala. So you need to make exactly the same on 2 more colorways. And then in part 2 and 3 we'll grow these. We'll grow this one in part 2 and this one in part 3 to make them larger still. So that way you're going to have a small, medium and large mandala at the end of the day. So make 2 more exactly the same in a different colorway, and when you've done that, you're ready to just finish off the small mandala, and I'd like to show you how to do that as well. To finish off the small mandala, what we're going to do is we're going to be attaching this mandala to the 15 centimeter ring. You'll notice if you put your mandala inside the ring that it is considerably smaller than the ring. That's on purpose. We're going to be stretching it out as we attach it to the ring. So you don't have to block this mandala as we attach it to the ring. It'll just pull itself into shape all by itself. So the mandala at this point is about 14 centimeters, and the ring I have here is 15 centimeters. So you're going to just stretch it by a centimeter or so. We're going to work the outer round with the black yarn, and I'm doing that because I really like the edge it gives if you work this last round with the black yarn. However, I know if I use this yarn in the video, you won't be able to see anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use a lighter color. I'm going to just do the blue. It's arbitrary which one I take. I'm going to show you how to work this edge with the blue yarn, but you should actually work it with the black yarn. So that's just that you know that why I'm changing colors here. So I'll just show you how to work this last round to finish the small mandala. The last round to finish the small mandala, I have a slip knot on my hook. And what we're going to do is we're going to work a back post single crochet on every single crochet, and while we do that we're also going to work over the ring. It sounds tricky. I'll show you how it's done. It's not as tricky as it sounds. I'm going to start in on any edge in the first stitch immediately after the popcorn. That first stitch there, I'm going to start on that one. And we're going to work a back post single around that first stitch. So I'm just going to come around the first stitch. So this is as though to work a standing back post single. Okay. Now take the ring and underneath the ring, grab your yarn from the top and bring the yarn all the way up. And then grab your yarn again and complete the single. And this first one is maybe the most difficult. Next one in the next stitch. Working a back post single, so around the stitch, then your hook underneath the ring, grabbing your yarn from the top, bring your yarn all the way up through the stitch and complete the single crochet. And again the next one, so as though to work a back post single, so around the stitch, then again underneath the ring, grabbing my yarn from the top, bring it all the way through the stitch and complete the single. There you go. I've now worked 3 of these stitches. I'm going to continue on the rest of the edge, and then I'll just see you here to see how we're going to do with the popcorn. I've now worked a few more stitches. I've got 1 single crochet left before the popcorn. You can see how these back post singles is causing this pink edge here to form, and that's what I really like about the way that we're attaching the mandala to the ring, is this edge of stitches that you get here from the back post singles. I've got 1 stitch left before the popcorn, so I'm just going to work that one also. You see it's that little stitch there. So I'm just going to work around that stitch and come out the other side, and then again underneath the ring, grab the yarn, bring everything up and then complete the single. Your next stitch is the popcorn stitch, the treble popcorn, and this is actually very easy because you're just going to ignore it. You're just going to act like it's not even there. So skipping the popcorn and come to the next stitch, which is this first single here immediately after the popcorn. So that's going to be the next stitch. I'm going to work a back post single around. So that first stitch there. And then again underneath the loop, bring up the yarn and complete the single. There we go. And this stitch is of course the same as the back post stitch we started with. So what you're going to do from here is going to repeat all of this. You're going to work a back post single on each and every single crochet. You're going to go all the way around, and when you get here, after you've done your last one, close on that first stitch with an invisible join. So that actually means you're going to do the join on top of this first stitch, and that's just going to give you a very clean and neat finish on this mandala. You'll also notice that here it's only a little bit stretched. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit to show you what I mean. I've now attached it here, and as you work around, at a certain point you'll start to stretch this mandala. I can see I'm already doing, if I pull it here, and if I pull it there, you'll really open up this mandala, and you'll notice that as you get, especially this last part, maybe these last 2 or 3 popcorns, you'll really be maybe tugging a bit at your mandala, but like I said, if you work all the way around, you'll have even tension everywhere, and then it'll be just pulled open all in one in the same way all the way around. So take this nice and slow, one stitch at a time, and then I'll just like to show you what it looks like when it's finished, and that I'll be doing. So I'll be just taking this out. I'll just take this out. There we go. And I will just be repeating this with the black yarn. You've done the entire edge all the way around. You see your mandala is nicely stretched out evenly, and it's really secured to the ring. So it's now a nice and sturdy project. This is what it looks like from the back and from the front. You can leave it as is, or you can attach a loop to hang it on your wall. I'll just show you how to make that loop. I'm just going to show you how to do this with the pink yarn. Again, you would do this with the black yarn, but you won't see much if I show you in the black. So I'm just going to show you with the pink. Choose the position where you want to have your hanger attached. I advise you to do this above a popcorn, because that would just give a nice symmetric hanging. So in that stitch immediately above the popcorn, attach your yarn with a slip stitch, and there we go. Oh, now I pull it back out again. So just attach it with the slip stitch, and for some other reason it doesn't want to, because it's bouncing off the ring. I'm just going to take a different position. Sometimes that helps. Because the ring is kind of a bit in the way to attach this yarn. So I'm just going to wiggle it through there. And now split, and there we go, finally attached. And now chain the number of chains that you need. So that's 1, 2, 3. And let's say you want, so you're going to just chain the number of lengths that you need. I'm just going to do this a bit fast. You'll see that this first loop will want to come undone, so just pull that back, your yarn tail. Now if you want whatever length you wanted, you'll have to make the chain, of course, double length, because it also has to come back. Now let's say you wanted a rather short one, so this is long enough, let's say, and then you're going to fold it back See, that'll mean you'll have a loop that's about that big. So you could just hang this in that loop on your wall. And now comes again a tricky bit. What we're going to do is in the same stitches where we started, so where you already have that slip stitch from the starting, you're going to attach it again with a slip stitch. So through the same stitch, that means grabbing the yarn again, and that again means wrestling it against the hook and the ring, and do this carefully. And there it comes, yes. So I've split the yarn. There we go. And just see that split my yarn there. There we go, that's it. And pull it through the starting loop as well. And I know this sounds, there it goes. I'm just going to do this off camera because I'm working too far away from me. So what you need to do is you need to come back and then work a slip stitch in that same position that's there as where you already have the stitch. And there we go, slip stitch worked. It really is much easier if you can work close to your body instead of having to keep it in front of the camera. Now you can cut your yarn and then just open up this loop. Now you can see you have those two stitches in the same position there. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this over. And remember, when everything's in the same color yarn as the last round, the black here, you won't notice these attachings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot between these two yarn tails, and that's just to secure that loop. And actually, if you really want to, you could do this a double knot. There you go. And then you can work this yarn tail in a little bit one that way and this one a little bit in that way. And then if I flip it over, you see you have that loop attached there, which you can use to hang your mandala on anything you want. And that's it. Brings us to the end of part 1. We've now completed the small mandala. In part 2 we'll be growing one of your two small mandalas, so that's this one. We'll be growing this one to becoming your medium mandala, and then in part 3 we'll grow your third one to become your large mandala. But for the moment, you're at the end of part 1. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.